we got down through Menahem's reign in Israel, and he was a usurper of the throne. He had no claim to the throne, and yet through murder and stuff, he claimed the throne. And one thing I didn't mention, at least not too much last week, is, and I've wondered more this week than I have in the past, why did the people go along with this? And I can't come up with it. Anyway, Menahem was a really evil people, and really evil person. And I don't know, for a king, he was not much force. Anyway, in 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 16, when then Menahem smote Tifsa and all that were therein. Now this Tifsa was a town close to Samaria, and apparently, I'm guessing, Brother Gill seems to think so, that these were people that didn't go along with him taking over the kingship. But anyway, he smote all the people there, and the coast thereof from Tirzah, because they opened not to him, or they didn't follow him. Therefore he smote it, and all the women therein that were with child he ripped up. So, we think of the evil things that are happening in our land today, and how children are being offered to the sacrifice of expediency. And, it's not convenient for me to have a child or something like that. And here we think of this guy as a terrible, terrible person. And indeed he was. But what about us? What about us? We're basically doing the same thing. Only we're not necessarily ripping up the women, but the children are sure suffering. All right, verse 17, and in the 9 and 30th year of Azariah, king of Judah, began Menahem, the son of Gadi, to reign over Israel, and reigned 10 years in Samaria. So he reigned for 10 years. And if you look at the chronological order of these things, obviously Ahaz was probably one of, if not the worst kings. But it seems like they're getting worse as it goes along here, and doing more and more terrible things, and for sure turning away from the Lord. Now, there was one thrown in there that kind of a surprise. Jehu, we never got to study a whole lot about him. I would like to spend more time on him, but there's not that much there. So all we can do is speculate, and Jehu did that which was right to the Lord. So at least for a while, and then after a while he didn't. So even we have people that are in power now that have been in power in our own land for a good while, years and years and years, and we're seeing how evil people can be. Nobody questions their power, their authority, whatever it is. And if they do, even a new president or new king, whichever you want to call him, if he comes in and he questions somebody's authority to do what they want, irregardless of what the people want, irregardless, is that a word? I didn't think so. Regardless of what the people want, then they go about to bring the king down, or the president in this case. Anyway, you remember Menahem, sorry about that, he paid off the king of Assyria who had come into the land to take over, and he paid him off with I think it was 1,000 talents of silver. And verse 19 says it. He gave Paul 1,000 talents of silver, that his hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom in his hand. So he's trying to get him as an ally. Now, as we read on farther, Paul left. He took the money and left, but it doesn't say that he became an ally. And we're not going to get to it today, but we're going to come up on a time coming very soon. We're coming to the end of Israel. You know, it's not that far off. Anyway, verse 22, and Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah, this is the guy, his son, reigned in his stead. And here's another guy that had no claim to the throne, but he was the son of Menahem, who had reigned for 10 years, and the people did nothing about it. So Pekahiah, verse 23, in the 50th year of Azariah, or Uzziah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, the son of Menahem, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned 2 years. So he's another short-timer here. I want to point out again a few things. In verse 23, it was in the 50th year of Azariah, or Uzziah, king of Judah, that he started to reign. Now we know that Uzziah reigned for 52 years, so this is getting towards the end of his reign. And it says here in the last part, he reigned 2 years. So they're going to end up, their kingship is going to end about the same time. So, we're going to, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to switch over. We'll see how that works out. I might go back to Judah. I could just go on with Israel and go to the end, but I think maybe we'd be better off to go back to Judah at the end there. Anyway, so what about Pekahiah? Verse 24, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. So, big surprise here. We're getting used to this. He did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. And he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Now, Jeroboam, if you remember, was the first king of the kingdom of Israel. Not the first king of the nation of Israel, but the first king of the kingdom of Israel. You remember they split off, and I'm not exactly sure how they got the name of Israel, because most of the tribes went with them, and Judah was basically 2 tribes, Judah and Benjamin. Now later on, a lot of the Levites and others from Manasseh, the prophets and teachers and priests went back to Judah, but at this time there's not a whole lot there. It doesn't seem like not a whole lot of teaching of the Lord's word. Anyway, again, and he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Okay, there's the calves again, you know. And now, like I said, this goes all the way back to Moses. Why? I don't understand this. They saw how the Lord, well, during just in the time of Jehu, I mean, just not that far back, how the Lord blessed them. And now they're going back to this again. So, what are we going to learn about Pekahiah? Not much. Verse 25, but Pekah, the son of Remaliah, a captain of his, or a captain of Pekahiah, conspired against him. This is getting to be the same old story over and over again. All these people coming up, and none of them had any claim to the throne. And here we got another one. He conspired against him and smote him in Samaria in the palace of the king's house. Now you remember before we were talking about how one of them, and I'm not sure in my mind right now, I don't want to misspeak, but one of them had killed one of the other kings in front of the people, before the people. So it was out in the open. Now this guy here, this Pekah, he is going to slay the guy claiming to be the king in the king's house, in the palace. It's getting worse and worse. Now, here's a couple of names I'm not sure I'm going to get right. But in the palace in the king's house with Argob and Ariah, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites, and he killed him and reigned in his room, or in his place instead. Now Argob and Ariah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. There's not a whole lot there. And, if anybody has, anybody here or anybody watching on the internet or listening through sermon audio, kind of let me know, because I'd like to know some more about this. This study has been a real eye-opener to me about what all, how, we think of Israel, the Lord's own people, the Lord's chosen people, and look at all the evil things they've done. Anyway, it said, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites, and he killed him and reigned in his room. Now, these Gileadites I think they were conspirators. Now, somebody, I'm not sure if it was Brother Gill or somebody else, seems to think that this was during a party at the palace. There's nothing that suggests that. I mean, absolutely nothing. It's like somebody pulled that out of their hat. So I'm not going to say that. But they were in his house, in the palace, for some reason. That's all we need to know. And he, along with 50 men, killed him and reigned in his room, or in his stead. He proclaimed himself king. And we should be getting used to that, but we're not. Verse 26, and the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles, the kings of Israel. So basically there's nothing there. So these people that were coming up, these usurpers, these claim jumpers, so to speak, if you're into Westerns, they didn't do much. And we had one of them that lasted 10 years. Menahem, and he was probably, as far as we know, the evilest one. We know what he did to one of his own cities, but anyway, these people were evil. Anyway, so we need to learn a little bit about Pekah. Then, who's he? Verse 27, in the 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah. Now this is the last year of Azariah, or Uzziah, depending on where you're reading. Pekah, the son of Ramaliah, began to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 20 years. Now he's going to be longer than most have been here lately. 20 years. That seems to be a a pretty good number. But I want to kind of set up the timeline here. We're at the end of Uzziah's reign, or Azariah's reign. And Pekah, he is another usurper to the throne in the kingdom of Israel. He's starting his reign, and he reigns for 20 years. In verse 28, now this is going to be a big surprise. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. Same thing. And you wonder sometimes, in our country, we have a president that does this, and we go along and we vote somebody else in. And he does this, which is the same thing as the last one did. And it didn't matter whether he was a R or a D. They just keep on doing the same things. We had a terrible instance happen in 2001. And you would think that by now all the things would be over concerning that, all the wars and stuff. But no, there's more wars now than there was then going on in that area of the country. So these people, it's a different face, but it's the same thing. Now we have a president that's doing things different. Is he doing right? I don't know. I know he's doing some things right. He's not a godly man, even though he does call on the Lord. And he, well, I won't say that he's not a godly man. I'll have to take that back. He could be. We don't know. That's not in our purview. We're not supposed to judge another's salvation or anything like that. But in his past history, he was not a godly man. Anyway, hopefully the Lord has saved him. If not, hopefully the Lord will save him. We don't know. That's up to the Lord. Anyway, we're back to Pekah here. He did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Just like in our country. I mean, you think, well, we're getting better and better and better. No, we're not. We're getting worse and worse and worse. We're doing things now that if the founding fathers were alive, they wouldn't have started this country. And the last part there of verse 28 says, who made Israel to sin. Now, there it's talking about Jeroboam, but he's doing the same thing, so he's causing Israel to sin. Now, leader, we mentioned this before too, leaders have the name leader because they lead. People follow them. Now, we're not supposed to be sheep except for following the Lord. He is the one we're supposed to follow. We're not supposed to follow after man, especially sinful man. We have people, probably everyone here has people in their life that they maybe look up to a little bit, or want to be like a little bit more, or something like that. We need to want to be like Christ. I mean, the term Christian means Christ-like. We don't need to be like, I love Brother Roger, but I don't want to be like him. I mean, I could say something, but Bernie would get mad at me. Anyway, we need to want to be like Christ, Christ-like. We need to be like him. And anyway, these people here are far, far from it. Now, again, if you study in Amos, it's going along in this timeline. It's a short book, 9 chapters long, and if you read the whole book, it won't take you an afternoon. And that leads up to the last 5 verses of the book. And I'm not going to read them. It's a surprise. You have to read them. Anyway, and that brings this timeline here all the way up to our time right now. The last 5 verses of Amos. Anyway, we need to keep going here. Verse 29, in the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, the king of Assyria, and took Ijon and Abel-Beth. Now, some of these, obviously, I'm not going to get right. I mean, I have tried. I still can't get them right. Anyway, and now, supposedly this Tiglath-Pileser is the son of Pul. There's no statement that that's who he is, other than his speculation, and probably is. Okay, because we don't know a whole lot about Assyria during this time, other than they were aggressive. And they had a great army. Anyway, and they took, and king of Assyria, and took Ijon and Abel-Beth-Maachah and Genoa and Kadesh and Hazor and Gilead and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria. Now, this is not the captivity yet. This is the first part of it. You remember, Pul was paid off. Menahem gave him 1,000 shekels to stay away and to be his buddy, so to speak. And here comes his son, and he takes away the most northern part of the kingdom. He's taken it away and taken them captive to Assyria. Verse 30, and Hosea the son of Elah made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him, and slew him, and reigned in his stead in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. So, okay, we got a little sneak peek here about what's going on in Judah. Jotham, the son of Uzziah, has taken his place. And we're just going to go along chronologically here. We're going to be with Jotham next. But anyway, Hosea, the son of Elah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead. Again, another usurper to the throne. In the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. Now there's some chronological differences here that don't quite add up, and we're not going to get into that too much because I can't figure it out my own self. So I'm not going to try to teach somebody something that I don't know my own self. Anyway. Verse 31, and the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. So, Pekah's he's gone. That's it for him, too. Now, we heard that Jotham, the son of Uzziah, is reigning in Judah. So, let's see what's happening in Judah. Verse 32, and in the 2nd year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, began Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, to reign. So, okay, this is right. He has claim to the throne. He's the son of Uzziah. And verse 33, 25 years old was he when he began to reign. And he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. Now, I don't know anything more about her. Zadok, I think, is mentioned maybe one other time. I'm not sure. I haven't studied a whole lot on him. I was mostly studying, thinking I was going to be going back and forth here. Anyway, we decided just now that we're going to go chronologically here. But he reigned 16 years. And verse 34, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. He did according to all that his father Uzziah had done. Now, we remember Uzziah did some pretty evil things in the last part of his reign. But it says here he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. He did that which was right when Uzziah was doing things right. We probably all know somebody that was a really good kid, and all of a sudden they went bad, and you don't know what to do about it. But anyway, Jotham is going to be a good king, it says. Verse 35, howbeit the high places were not removed. Now we have this, and I don't know for sure, and Brother McCool has mentioned it, back, the high places used to be where the children of God went to offer sacrifice and to worship the Lord. But after the temple, there was no need for the high places. There was a specific place set aside. Now, the church is not the temple. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. We have a place to go to worship. And scripturally it says, to him be glory in the churches. This is where we need to be. We need to be here if we can possibly be here. Now, if we got the Mongolian virus or whatever that thing is that they got now, yeah, you need to stay away because I don't want it. But, if it's something, like your toe hurts or your hair's messed up or whatever the reason is, we can always come up with a reason to stay home. But if that's the kind of Christian we're going to be, how's the Lord going to bless us in that? And he still blesses his children. I mean, I look at my own life and the things that he's given me, and I don't know. I don't deserve them. I know that. But anyway, we need to be in God's house. This is where we're supposed to be, that when the doors are open, we need to be here, period. And anyway, again, he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. He did according to all that his father Uzziah had done, except the evil things. Howbeit, the high places were not removed. The people sacrificed and burned incense still in the high places. He built the higher gate of the house of the Lord. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this means. Apparently, there was a gate that he made. Now, the temple was designed by God. It was not designed by man. God told him exactly how to build it. And I'm not sure if this was something that the Lord had for him to do or anything like that. The high gate, whether that was for him to do, but he did it. And the Bible doesn't say anything bad about it. So I'm assuming that he was instructed to do this. And verse 36, now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Now, we're going to Well, let's go ahead and read these last two verses. And of those days the Lord began to send against Judah Rezin the king of Syria and Pekah the son of Remaliah. And Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father. And Ahaz his son reigned in his stead. Now, we're not going to study anything about Ahaz, and I don't really have enough time to go to 2 Chronicles, but we're going to do it anyway, just for a moment. In verse 2 Chronicles chapter 27, it talks about Jotham's reign, and we're not going to, and it's only 9 verses long. I thought 10, but it's only 9 verses long, so when you get home, read this, and that's basically all we're going to have. You notice that as we've been going along, the things have been shorter and shorter about the kings and what they've done, and mostly it's because they didn't really deserve to be written about. In a lot of cases, they were either evil to start off with or became evil afterwards. Anyway, in 2 Chronicles chapter 27, read that for your homework. Anyway, I want to make a comment here. Anybody that's listening or watching or anything like that, if you hear me say something wrong or you question something, whether I don't think I'm going to say anything wrong because I'm pretty smart, but if you question something that I have said or you want a little bit more information about it, make a comment on the Facebook page if that's where you're watching it. Anyway, or make a comment on the church's Facebook page. And I'll try to get back to you on it. And I'm sure the pastor would welcome comments. I'm talking about reasonable comments now. Remember, this is one of the Lord's churches. We need to show respect. Anyway, everybody stay tuned. Pastor's got a great message this morning.